Do you try your best to connect with your teens, but they just don't seem interested in talking to you? Of course, there will be times when your teens need some space and aren't in the mood to talk. But if this happens all the time, it's a sign that you probably need to change the way you communicate with your teens. There are 5 common reasons your teens aren't opening up. In this video, we'll talk about the 5 reasons and what you can do to fix the situation. Let's start with reason number 1. You do too much lecturing and too little listening. If you spend too much time lecturing, your teens may feel like you're not really listening to what they have to say. They may feel like you aren't making the effort to understand their perspective. It's true that you've had many more life experiences than your teens. And of course, you want to share these experiences with your teens to help them avoid mistakes. But when you do this, your teenagers probably see it as a lecture. So resist the urge to lecture. Instead, practice active listening. Don't interrupt your teens and refrain from criticizing and casting judgment. Empathize with your teens and help them to feel heard and understood. Try asking questions like, "Is there anything I can do to help?" Or, "How can I support you better in this situation?" Even a simple phrase like, "Tell me more," can help your teens to feel more comfortable opening up. It's equally important to avoid saying things that can close the door to communication. Here are some examples of things to avoid saying to your teens. "What's wrong with you?" "What were you thinking?" "You're so lazy." "You're being ridiculous." Teenagers don't respond well to any form of nagging, scolding, or judging. So do less of these things and instead try to turn conflicts into collaborative problem-solving exercises. Remember, when it comes to parenting teens, the approach that works best is when you do more connecting and less criticizing, more coaching and less controlling. I'm Daniel Wong, and I specialize in helping teens to thrive. Let's move on to reason number 2. You make your teens feel bad about their mistakes. When your teens make mistakes, it's crucial that you resist the urge to blame or shame them. Having worked with teens and families for over a decade, I realize it's pretty common for parents to say things to their teenagers like, "Are you dumb?" or "You can't do anything right." As a father of 3 children myself, I know how easy it is to become angry and frustrated with your children. But refrain from making such hurtful remarks because such remarks cause emotional wounds that can last a lifetime. Plus, it's impossible to shame your teen into changing for the better. When your teenagers make a mistake, do your best to stay calm and not overreact. Try to understand the situation fully and uncover what led to your teen's poor decision. Empathy and understanding are the foundation of the parent-teen relationship. When the foundation is strong, your teens will be more likely to tell you when they've made a mistake instead of trying to hide it from you. And as teenagers whose brains and decision-making skills are still developing, they'll make many mistakes. When they make a mistake, help them process their emotions and reflect on what they learned from the mistake. Let's imagine the following situation. Matthew is a teenager who loves playing basketball. He's been playing basketball for years and he's worked hard to prepare for this season. Matthew's coach told all the players that if they missed practice without a valid reason, they wouldn't get to play in the next game. But Matthew thought the coach wouldn't actually enforce this rule. So on one occasion, he skipped basketball practice to hang out with his friends. As a result, the coach decided that Matthew won't get to play in the most important game of the season. If you were Matthew's parent, it would be tempting for you to say something like this. "You knew about this rule, Matthew. The coach made it clear to you from the start. So don't complain about the consequences. If playing in the game was so important to you, you would have made a better decision." But if you say this to Matthew, he'll probably become annoyed and angry. The natural consequences have already played out, and he's well aware that his bad decision has hurt him. So there's no need to rub it in, because natural consequences are a better teacher of life lessons than any lecture could ever be. Reason number 3. You allow conflicts to escalate. Heated arguments will do serious damage to the parent-teen relationship in the long run. It's normal for such arguments to happen occasionally, but if they happen more than once a month on average, you need to change your approach. When tensions start to rise, you can say something like, "I need some time to think about this." Or, "We're both getting angry, so can we talk about this again after dinner?" If there's an issue you need to address with your teen, but you're not in the right mood to talk about it now, you can schedule the conversation for another time. For example, you could say, "We need to discuss the email your English teacher sent about your poor performance, but I'm feeling frustrated about something that happened at work today. Can we schedule some time tomorrow to talk about it?" When you turn heated arguments into calm discussions, it paves the way for open communication between you and your teen. If you're finding these tips helpful so far, please click the like button. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future videos about helping teens to thrive. Now let's talk about reason number 4. You frequently use threats and punishments. When you ask your teens to do something, do they ever reply by saying, "I'll do it later"? Or do you find it hard to get your teens to focus and stay on task? If so, using threats and punishments can seem like the only way to handle these situations efficiently. But this approach won't work in the long run because it will damage the relationship over time. An approach that works better is to ask your teens what their plan is. For example, you might say, "Hey, we've talked about emptying the dishwasher before 9:30 p.m. every day. Can I ask when you're planning to do that?" In another situation, you might say, "Your math teacher called and said that your project is overdue. What's your plan for that?" When you ask about your teen's plan, it's vital that you use a tone that conveys a genuine sense of curiosity, not disapproval. After all, there might be some circumstances you aren't aware of, so don't jump to the conclusion that your teen is just being irresponsible. And whenever possible, give your teens choices. Having a sense of control and autonomy is extremely important to teenagers, so try to give them choices instead of forcing or coercing them into doing things. Reason number 5. You criticize your teen's behavior instead of telling your teens how you feel. If you're anything like me, you tend to become defensive when other people criticize your behavior. So don't be surprised if your teens become defensive when you tell them what they're doing wrong. But if you tell your teens how you feel about the situation, they're likely to respond better. This is because we all have feelings, and we know that our feelings don't always represent the truth. So we're much less likely to cast judgment when other people share how they feel. When you talk to your teens about some behavior or attitude you're concerned about, change the focus from your teen's faults to your feelings. Here's an example of how you can convert fault statements into feeling statements. Fault statement. You're never going to do well if you don't put in the effort. Feeling statement. I've noticed that you've been using your phone for at least 3 hours straight every afternoon this week. I'm worried that you aren't going to be fully prepared for the upcoming exams. Here's one more example. Fault statement. You always forget to do the laundry. Feeling statement. Over the past week, there have been 3 occasions when the laundry wasn't done. I feel frustrated when I don't have any clean clothes to wear. So start using more feeling statements today. Now you know how to get your teen to talk to you more. But does your teen also lack motivation? If so, check out this free ebook I've written entitled 16 Keys to Motivating Your Teenager. Visit daniel-wong.com/ebook to download the ebook today. Make sure to put all the letters in lowercase. I've also included the download link in the description below. Plus, I've created this other video about how to tell if your teen is depressed or just lazy. I'm sure you'll find this video useful, so watch it next.